YouTube, what's going on? We're back with some more of the first Descendant. We got Freyna out, rocking her Venom Synth build and her Contagion build. Back-to-back runs in the Supermassive Receptor, just to see which one was going to get me the faster clear time. So they're both fantastic builds, no matter which one actually did the faster clear time in this. I feel like they're both unique to the the specific mission that you're running, and they're both deadly. Freyna's a monster. The toxic is overwhelming now with some of the stuff that you can do with it, and it's just a really fun build to use. So everything's timestamped in there. Again, they're going head to head in this video here. Let me know if you like it. If you do, please feel free to turn on those notifications, sub to the channel, drop a like. All right, I'm gonna be going over my Freyna Contagion and Venom Synthesis amplification builds. To kick it off, we have our Toxic Mechanics Reactor, taking advantage of the Toxic Skill Power Boost Ratio and the Tech Skill Power Boost Ratio. We have this rolled in gold with the Toxic Skill Power Boost Ratio and the Tech Skill Power Boost Ratio, just to cap off as much damage as we possibly can within this reactor. For the external components, we run this with the 4-piece Plague set. Again, we're able to take advantage of the 5% Tech Skill Power. Unfortunately, there's nothing that we can utilize with the singular. And as you can see, the 4-piece set reduces some skill critical hit rate and skill critical damage with regards to the firearm. But what we're after is that massive uptick to the toxic skill power at that 43.2% on acquiring a custom skill resource. Toxic skill power 21.6% on a 10-second duration. So absolutely crazy. Running the 4-piece set with Freyna. That's why we run it with her. Again, on the rolls that you would want, again, you'd want whatever elemental resistance with either MP or shield recovery in combat. Those are always good to roll with. Again, I don't have the greatest rolls, but again, defense, electric resistance, that's a great one. Chill resistance with the MP recovery in combat, I feel like that's a great one to have on your plague armor set. But there's definitely gains to be made. But again, when you're looking for that, obviously try to look for shield recovery modifiers, maybe some elemental resistance or HP recovery modifiers. Again, with elemental resistance or just straight defense are obviously all great to have. For ease of the rolls, I like to just roll mine with the on the coring rolls, I'd like to roll mine with the max HP and defense. I feel like it just serves the build well. I like that defense, to be honest. I mean, you can roll it with the elemental if you really wanted to, but I just like the the tankiness of the max HP and defense rolls. And as you can see, I'm running with Inversion, very comfortable. 66,000 shield and almost 8,000 HP. This is a very cushy build, very fun build. Freyna is an absolute mobbing monster, and the Venom Baptism 4th is obviously an end level boss destroyer. So she's still great to use, especially with the added buffs that we can get out of her toxic by utilizing the Arche tuning, which is exactly this: defense neutralization. Upon landing a skill attack with the enemy at full HP. So right off the rip, we have the poison. Boom. The enemies are afflicted with defense neutralization, reduces their defense and their elemental resistance. So this is really huge. We're shut down here again. We have all of our ones, so we're able to take advantage of some of this firearm attack. But it's really just trying to get to this defense neutralization up here on the mutant cell slot, and then we obviously have our poison vulnerability on the other end. I mean, you can roll with anything you really want to. After that, I just like running with the poison vulnerability there, and we've got our skill cooldown in there, which is important to have. The only thing that is unfortunate is running through the weapon critical hit damage, as you saw within her reactor. The 4-piece set reduces it by 36%. So, having that in the Arche tuning is a little bit of fluff, but that's the only way to get over that, to be able to capstone that mutant cell slot. Inversion reinforcement, we got our emergency antibody, our selective neurostimulation, and our focus boost, again, to reduce the skill cost, which is huge. Just allows us to spam a little bit on the skills. Obviously, our MP regeneration coupled with our fellow, which we'll go over in a second, allows us to continuously be regenerating MP and mana. And there's our fellow. Every MP every 45 seconds at 16%. So very huge. That's why we run it with the MP fellow. Alright, this is my my setup for my Venom Synthesis. It's also my setup for Contagion, and I'll just go over that real quick for you guys here. So we run this with our trigger module infected weapon. I would obviously like this in double gold, but again, when attacking with continuous damage skills, which is all of Freyna's skills, inflicts Arche infection. Again, damage interval tick on our infection status at a huge skill power bump for a 5-second duration. We got at least good 5 ticks out of that. For the poison, the toxic effect, and then when inflicted with Arche infection with unique weapon type skills, deals additional damage equal to the Arche infection damage. So a nice, just a little bump to our 4th ability, which is the Venom injection, which just allows us to melt, the red bar bosses or the M bosses at the end of the infiltration runs, like butter. It just destroys them. Absolutely destroys them. So again, as you can see, that's our exclusive weapon that we're able to take advantage of, and there's been continuous damage on every single one of the skills. Really great trigger module. So again, with the Venom Synthesis, your putrid Venom skill is converted, and it leaves behind the toxic footprints. So every step you take inflicts that room trauma. Toxic gets onto the enemies, kills them, blows up, passes it along to the next enemy, and just starts melting the whole room as a chain effect reaction, right? So that's the change when you're running Venom Synthesis. And again, in this video here, we're going head to head with the Contagion, which uses the Putrid Venom Vial. And again, it's 2 different ways of playing Freyna, with the identical same modules, just swapping one for the other. So as you can see, all of the skills are tech except for our defense mechanism. We just keep that pop for the extra defense, and obviously all of the the buffs that it gives us when we have it up. Again, defense increased, skill duration, imdo great, all that good stuff. And again, we've got our Venom Synthesis, our footprints, and our Venom Baptism. So we're just utilizing a lot of tech, except for the defense mechanism. To run the build, again, mid-air maneuvering, we're just taking advantage of the capacity slots within that. I like using the mid-air one. This is the the tech amplification, the amplification build. So we got our tech amplification, toxic amplification. We've got our power increase for just raw skill power. We've got a little bit of a bump on skill power and defense with the spear and shield. I absolutely love that. Rocking this with our MP conversion for skill cooldown, nimble fingers for some more skill cooldown. Again, capping it off with range, need that range. Skill cost reduction. Again, you can run this with strong mentality and not take the bump on the skill power, but I feel like having the skill cost reduction is really nice within the build, so you can make that swap if you really wanted to. I like using the maximized conservation. Again, if you decide to go strong mentality, at least you don't take that skill power modifier hit within your build. And then to cap it all off, I use the Decimator. You could swap this out for more survivability, like an HP increase mod if you wanted to, but I just like it because when flipping the debuff, we get the skill power modifier at 5% per defeated enemy for 10 seconds up to 10 stacks. So it's a 50% skill power modifier. This thing's up the whole time. Love this on a few Descendants. Decimator is really nice. I'll end it off with my Transcendent Ancestor module. Again, we're spec nicely into range, so we've got range is really nice with Freyna and the poison. So I opted for the purple range out of I've got a few of them here. This is the one I like to run with, just because of everything that it benefits the build that I like. It's like a personal preference, obviously. So we got the skill range, couples nice with our additional skill range there. That allows a good spread on our skill, or our toxic spread, the room trauma. We got the skill cost again. I've got a really nice, skill cost reduction in here. Also within, the inversion reinforcement that you've seen. So we really want to keep that down as low as possible, so that we're able to kind of, spam our skills without worrying about our mana, or the MP. So I would like that obviously in purple, but we got it in blue. But at least it's serving a purpose on skill cost reduction bump. And then you got the tech skill power boost, which I just went over with all of these skills, which benefits literally all the skills that truly matter to us, which is the Venom Baptism, the Venom Synthesis, and the Venom Trauma, which is, I feel like, my go-to skill. So that's the Ancestor run with. Again, Ancestors are optional. You can run with whatever you want. Again, I do have different ones. Like I do have this great Toxic Duration and Dimensional. But again, I needed the range. I needed the skill cost. I mean, you can do you. There's all kinds of mix and match ones that you can have. Again, this one has, tech and range and gold. But again, it's got the skill critical hit rate. So this was the lesser of the evils. Do what works best for you. I'm liking this one right now. We'll continue to work and grind to try and get the God roll Ancestor module, which will just make this build that much crazier. And now when it comes to the Contagion, I mean, it's as simple as just doing that. That's all I do when it comes to the build. When you see me running them, I just swap them in and out. That's as easy as that. So the Contagion, as you can see, gives us back the featured Venom, but it applies the it applies the room trauma now with the vial, and again, defense mechanism is still in there. Venom trauma, again, Venom baptism, all good. The only thing is instead of laying down the Venom footprints, you got your Venom, your putrid Venom vial that you just chuck at the enemies and just surrounding the enemies. So it's it's as easy as that, but again, they play very differently. But they are absolutely deadly, and you'll see in the showcase. Love Freyna. Love both of these amplification builds. Disgusting. Now for the weapon. As you can see here, the Fallen Hope. Sorry, I keep saying all for one. I don't know why I do that, but the Fallen Hope weapon is ridiculous. They reworked the whole thing. I feel like it's almost like a Freyna exclusive because it takes toxic skill to get it off the ground, and we'll go over that here. So as you can see on my cores, fire rate, firearm attack, toxic attack, fire rate, sprint speed. On the attribute rules, multi-hit chance, firearm attack, multi-hit damage, and toxic attack. This is what I'm currently running with it. Again, we've got the three main firearm attack bumps: action, reaction, rifle reinforcement, and charge amplification. We don't care about the firearm critical hit damage. Again, our 4-piece plague armor set reduces it by 30%, so I'm not really too worried about the firearm critical damage, but we're really going to go heavy into the firearm attack, and it just melts them. It's almost like having another Venom Baptism when it runs out, and you're just able to melt bosses with this weapon with Freyna once everything's humming, procced, and going on the unique abilities with it. So rounds per magazine. Again, this benefits the Venom Baptism. More rounds within our fourth. Expanding the rounds within our fourth ability that's unique to Freyna's fourth, the Venom Baptism, so that's why you want to have as many rounds in the magazine. And we've got our two toxic mods. This gun's really great with the toxic. I even applied a toxic circulation just to increase the the toxic attack, just because it explodes toxic attack. So when this thing gets going, it's just a toxic monster. You don't really have to have this on there. You could probably spec something else into this if you wanted to, but I just went full toxic with the build. And then we've got our fire rate on there, which again directly benefits Venom Baptism. The more fire rate we have, more shots you can get off on your Venom Baptism, and more rounds in it, the better off we are as well. and followed it up with the sharp precision shot. Again, reduces the fire rate, but when you're pulling it, it increases the fire rate and the firearm attack every half second, up to 10 stacks. So that's a 60% firearm attack bump. And again, we're able to dig ourselves out of the hole with the 10 stacks at 40% additional fire rate. So it's actually a 20% additional fire rate once this thing's at full clip. That's what I like to run with it. Again, as you can see, full toxic. That's what I'm working with. But with, the real magic is in the unique ability. So, using toxic skill, right? So we're full toxic, grants toxic aggression to self. Toxic aggression, just one triggers the next one. Toxic aggression is active using a ground dot, which is pretty much all our skills. Type skill grants toxic discharge to self. While toxic discharge is active, hitting an enemy has a chance to activate perdition on the target, dealing additional damage. Dealing additional damage, inflicting poison on enemies within range. While toxic discharge is active, defeating an enemy has a chance to cause them to explode, to deal additional damage and inflict poison on nearby enemies. The additional damage of perdition increases proportionally to the combined stacks of poison and toxic discharge inflicted on the target. This thing is up almost all the time with Freyna. So this thing is, this rework on this weapon is absolutely insane. I know that was a lot to like read over there, but again, just going over the toxic aggression. So it's easy. We just shoot a toxic skill, and this all starts to chain into itself. All of these effects we're able to take advantage of, from our firearm to our raw toxic skill power to the explosion, the triggering of the perdition within the weapon. This all just happens naturally just by getting a skill off and just keep laying down the toxic damage. It's ridiculous. Love it. Absolutely love the rework to the Fallen Hope. So toxic aggression, again, that's the first one we triggered off. Lasts for 15 seconds. 65% firearm attack increase with, again, an attribute status trigger effect rate of additional 20%. So again, I'm fully into toxic, and I'm getting more attribute status trigger effects, which is just wild, right? So, and an additional 65% on the raw firearm attack, huge, for 15 seconds. Then it's toxic discharge. And you see these icons active the whole time when we're doing the showcase. Again, another 15-second duration. And max stack. So again, toxic skill power 19%, toxic skill power per stack 19%. So again, we're just like, it was 20. I mean, right there, it's 100%, right? So that's wild when you multiply just the raw toxic skill power that's adding per stack on your poison abilities, on your poison skills. Huge to do that. But yeah, there you go. 95% on once you max that stack up. It's just like max stacks the whole time. And then the perdition that triggers at a 40% rate. Again, just poison explosion damage radius increase. But again, the firearm damage at 390%. When you get, it feels like it's up quite a bit, even at 40%. It's a pretty good trigger. It's a pretty good trigger rate. So the firearm damage that you get when this thing is active is nuts. And it honestly, when this thing's up, or you get it to, it procs on that 40% trigger effect rate, this thing feels like it's like a whole other Venom baptism. So crazy because of all of the additional firearm damage that it does. And then obviously at max poison stacks, which we have up, the gun's just firing poison like crazy. Damage increase on toxic, discharge, additional 70% on the damage. Like this right here it's absolutely wild. And then again, if you didn't know, the Fallen Hope just naturally just fires and explodes, poison. So the trigger rate 50%. Damage range 40, and again, when this is firing, it's an additional 80% damage on the explosion, on the explosive damage that we're generating within the weapon. And then the poison, 5-second durations at a good half-second tick. That's crazy. So again, like 10 ticks out of it, and again, where it's allowing us an additional firearm damage of 15% to the weapon for the poison base. So huge. The weapon is disgusting just because of all of the the passive effects that it gives us within our toxic. Even though we're not firing the weapon in the build, but then when we need it for the end boss, it's there for us after the Venom Baptism. If the Venom Baptism doesn't fully wipe it, the Fallen Hope will. That's a guarantee. So, fantastic build, love it. Again, you can see there's gains to be made. I hope you guys use it because it's a really fun build. Love Freyna. GG's.